Hello. This week's Torah portion, Korach, tells the story of a rebellion against Moses. Korach, Moses' first cousin, wants the high priesthood, which went to Moses' brother Aaron. He assembles some 250 like-minded followers and says to Moses, quote, "You have gone too far. The entire congregation is holy, and the Lord is in their midst. So why do you raise yourselves above the Lord's assembly?" In spite of the lofty words, a lot of this is personal. First, Korach accuses Moses of nepotism, corruption, and power grabbing. He is a Levite, like Moses and Aaron, and believes all Levites are equal, perhaps with himself first among equals. Second, his partners Dathan and Abiram even accuse Moses of plotting to kill the people. Quote, "Moses sent for Dathan and Abiram, but they said, 'We will not come up. Is it not enough that you brought us from a land flowing with milk and honey to have us die in the wilderness, that you also want to lord it over us?'" The partners' problem was that they thought they were entitled to lead because they belonged to the tribe of Reuben, Jacob's firstborn. Instead, the priesthood was given to the tribe of Levi and the kingship to the tribe of Judah. Also, Ibn Ezra said that the 250 followers were all firstborns, and so considered the priesthood to be even more their birthright. Moses replies, "You have gone too far, sons of Levi. You all want to be high priests? Okay, I'm also willing in this regard. But let's see what God thinks. Let all of you, plus Aaron, offer incense, which only priests can offer, and we'll see how God reacts." God's reaction is swift. Quote, "After the offering of incense, the earth beneath the three rebels opened its mouth and swallowed them and their houses, all of Korach's people and all their property. They and all they possessed descended alive into Sheol. The earth covered them up, and they vanished from the midst of the congregation. All Israelites around them fled at their shrieks, for they said, 'The earth might swallow us too.' And the fire came forth from the Lord and consumed the 250 men who had offered the incense." Unquote. But nothing happened to Aaron. Presumably, this proved he was a legitimate priest and the others were not. We'll come back to these points. The portion begins with, quote, "Now Korach separated himself with Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliav, and On ben Pelet, descendants of Reuben." However, when God is about to punish them for rising against Moses, only Korach, Dathan, and Abiram are mentioned. On ben Pelet is not mentioned. Why not? The Talmud and the Midrash explain, quote, "Rav said, On ben Pelet's wife saved him. She said to him, 'What's in it for you in this dispute? If Aaron is the high priest, you're nothing but a disciple. If Korach is the high priest, you're still nothing but a disciple.' On said to her, 'What shall I do? I took an oath that I would be with them.' She said to him, 'I know that everybody in the community is holy, and they take matters of modesty very seriously. I have an idea. Sit, and I will save you.' What did she do? She gave him wine to drink and caused him to become drunk and laid him on a bed inside her tents. She then sat at the door of their tents with her daughter and uncovered her hair. Anyone who came for her husband, On, did not dare insist and withdrew. Meanwhile, Korach and the other rebels were swallowed into the ground. Korach's wife, on the other hand, said to him, 'See what Moses is doing. He is the king. He appointed his brother high priest and his brother's son deputy high priest. If a teruma offering is brought, he says, let it be for the priests. If the first tithe comes, which you as Levites take, he says, give 1/10 to the priests. And furthermore, he shaves your hair when you serve in the tabernacle as if you're as insignificant as excrements, as though he sets sights on your hair and wishes you to be shaven and unsightly.' Korach said to her, 'But didn't he also shave his own hair like all other Levites?' She said to him, 'He did everything for his own aggrandizement. He was willing to humiliate himself in order to humiliate you, just as Samson was willing to die as long as lots of Philistines died with him.' She also said to him, and furthermore, with regard to what he said to you, to prepare techelets, sky blue dye, for your tzitzits, ritual fringes, one could respond to him, if using techelet is a mitzvah, then make cloaks entirely of techelet, dyed material, and dress your students with them without tzitzits. Why could not one fulfill the mitzvah in this manner? Clearly, Moses is fabricating all this. End of quote. Korach's wife plays on Korach's ego and lust for power. She accuses Moses of discrimination, of favoring those Levites who are priests, of humiliating them by shaving their heads, of making up commandments that suit him. The sources conclude, quote, this illustrates what King Solomon wrote in Proverbs. The wise woman builds her house. This is On's wife. She kept her family whole. And the foolish woman destroys it with her hands. This is Korach's wife. She split her family by inciting her husband to rebel. End of quote. Now, our central question is, was On's wife completely right and Korach's wife completely wrong? On's wife echoes the Mishnah. Don't involve yourself with the government. Quote, be careful in dealing with the government, because rulers approach a man only when they need him. They appear to be good friends in good times, but they don't stand by him when he's in distress. Her arguments are not based on lofty principles. She is just saying nothing good will come from power. But perhaps she is secretly against Korach and believes in Moses, but uses only arguments she thinks will convince her husbands. Also, her act of immodesty is justified by pikuach nefesh, saving a life, her husband's life. Commentators deem her a righteous woman. Perhaps women, much more than men, put home and family first, rather than causes and ideology. This is good and laudable as a counterweight to adventurous men. But is it always the right attitude to say, what's in it for me? If nothing, I should stay out. One could argue that it would considerably slow down a lot of needed progress. Korach's wife, on the other hand, entices him to rebel. Regardless of her motives, is she to be applauded for striking a blow for democracy, equality, and meritocracy, all things we Americans treasure and recall on the 4th of July? Note that neither wife is named. Also, both men followed their wives' advice. This is not uncommon. Indeed, in Genesis, God tells Abraham, quote, whatever Sarah tells you to do, do as she says, unquote. Why was he named On ben Pelet? The sources say it was called On because he sat in lamentation. Aninut means mourning, while he repented from planning to join Korach. And Pelet because workers, Pelaot, wonders, Pelaot, were performed for him in that he was spared Korach's fate. But On did not actually do anything wrong. So why did he mourn? The Talmud teaches that no one is liable for bad thoughts or plans unless they lead to transgressions. However, the Talmud also says that challenging one's Torah teacher is the same as challenging the divine presence. And this is always punishable because it is tantamount to idolatry. So On regretted even thinking about opposing Moses, mourned, and repented. Does Korach have a valid point? Yes, and it was ultimately upheld. The priests, the Levites, the Sadducees, the Jewish aristocracies, all lost power after the Second Temple was destroyed. Spiritual power became vested in the rabbis, who rise to their position thanks only to their own merits. The priests and Levites have only ceremonial roles. The last Lubavitcher Rebbe said that Korach's desire for high spiritual office was a positive thing, that his objective was good, even if his timing, motives, and methods were wrong. To wit, he was rewarded with honorable descendants. They include his 3 sons, who composed 11 of the Psalms, and the great prophet Samuel. Let's conclude with this story from the Midrash. Quote, it once happened that a pious man was married to a pious woman, and they did not produce children. They said, we are of no use to the Holy One, blessed be He. So they arose and divorced one another. The man went and married a wicked woman, and she made him wicked. The woman went and married a wicked man, and she made him righteous. This proves that everything depends on the woman. End of quotes. And Shabbat Shalom.